Welcome to the game of life. This is a place where nothing is as it seems, where what we call good and evil are not fixed points, but shifting forces, constantly moving in and out of balance. It's easy to see the darkness in the world, wars, greed, injustice. But what if the greatest dangers don't come from the shadows we fear? What if the things we hold sacred, the ideals we cherish, the light we cling to, could twist into forces of destruction? Not because they are wrong, but because even the purest light can cast the deepest shadow when left unchecked. Imagine this: love turning into control, kindness into domination, progress into oppression. These transformations don't happen overnight. They begin slowly, unnoticed, as noble intentions grow rigid, blind, and overpowering. Before we explore how this happens, ask yourself, could the very things you trust and admire be hiding their own shadows? Could the light you follow be leading you into darkness? Let's take a closer look. Faith is a force that inspires love, charity, and hope. It brings people together, lifting spirits and giving purpose. But what happens when faith grows rigid, when it divides instead of uniting? Imagine a believer, convinced their truth is absolute, their path the only one worth following. At first, they inspire goodness, but soon they judge, condemn, and see those who don't share their faith not as neighbors, but as enemies. And then the conviction spreads. Words turn to actions. You're wrong becomes you don't belong. Blood is spilled in the name of righteousness. What began as love becomes war. What began as devotion becomes destruction. The Crusades, a mission to protect faith, became a legacy of death and terror. Cities burned, people slaughtered, not because faith is evil, but because faith, left unchecked, can twist into the very darkness it seeks to fight. Parental love is pure, selfless, and protective. It shields a child from harm and nurtures their growth. But what happens when that love becomes fear? When the desire to protect turns into control? Imagine a parent who builds walls around their child, not physical walls, but emotional ones. Every choice, what they wear, who they speak to, where they go, is made for them. It's all out of love, they say. But that love tightens into a grip, suffocating the very person it seeks to protect. The child, once full of potential, begins to wither. Afraid to make decisions, to take risks, to fail. The walls that kept danger out also kept life out. What began as love has turned into a cage, robbing the child of freedom, growth, and the ability to truly live. Technology holds the power to solve humanity's greatest problems. It connects us, heals us, and makes the impossible possible. Imagine a world where diseases are cured before they take hold, where machines handle labor, and people everywhere are connected in an instant. That's the promise of technology. But what happens when that power is turned inward, not to help, but to control? Imagine every move you make, every word you say, every thought you have, tracked and analyzed, not to empower you, but to cage you. Cameras on every street, algorithms predicting your behavior, systems deciding what you're allowed to see, say, or believe. The tools meant to free us become the shackles that bind us. Innovation turns to surveillance. Connection becomes manipulation. The same hands that built the future now hold the chains of control. Charity begins with the desire to help, to lift others out of suffering, to give to those in need. But what happens when kindness is no longer a gift, but a leash? Imagine a benefactor who donates generously, building schools, sending aid, transforming lives. But the help comes with conditions. We'll give you food, but only if you follow our rules. We'll educate your children, but only if you abandon your traditions. Slowly, those they claim to help lose their freedom. The hand that gives also takes, dictating how they live and who they must become. What began as compassion becomes control. What began as kindness becomes domination. The giver, blinded by their own power, becomes a ruler instead of a guide. Why does good twist into harm? Because good, like any force, can spiral out of control if it isn't questioned and balanced. Faith, love, progress, kindness, these aren't flaws, but they are fragile. Without humility, without reflection, they can blind us, turn rigid, and become destructive. Good isn't invincible. It needs awareness to stay true. When we stop asking, is this still serving its purpose? Good loses its way. And when that happens, the very things we celebrate become the very things we fear. The game of life doesn't ask you to choose sides between good and evil. It asks you to stay awake, to see the shadows before they consume the light, to question, to reflect, and to balance. Because in this game, nothing is as it seems. And if we refuse to question, we may already be standing in the shadow, thinking we are the light.